Good day. Hello to everyone. It is my absolute pleasure and honor to introduce you to a gentleman who actually doesn't need the introduction for the World Federation Neurology community. This is Professor Chandrasekhar Meshram. We call him as Chandra fondly. Some call you as Dr. Meshram or Professor Meshram. He's from Nagpur, India, which is the center of India, a beautiful place. When the virus is no longer troubling us, we could all visit his beautiful city. Chandrasekhar, very good morning to you. Thank you so much giving your time to us. How are you today?
Yeah, fine. Good morning, Tisa, and nice talking to you.
Likewise. For the benefit of our viewers, I know that you are very active. You are in a couple of specialty groups. You basically support our tropical neurology section. You are about to edit our journal special volume on tropical neurology in collaboration with a lot of other colleagues. But tell our viewers how you become interested in neurology. Perhaps a good place to start would be your childhood, school days, and who inspired you to get into medicine and why neurology, how you got involved with the World Federation Neurology. So take us through the memory lane.
Yeah, so basically, I am born in a small village, and that village had, about 50 houses, and to go to the school, I had to walk for 3 kilometers daily.
Right.
And till the 10th standard. And my grandfather, who is not educated, but he, my father, my grandfather could inspire my father to become a doctor.
Right.
And then he also wanted me to become a doctor.
Right.
So that is how the journey started.
Right.
And from a small village, then I moved to Nagpur
Right.
for education. And I did MBBS from Nagpur University, Government Medical College, Nagpur.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, I thought that I should, I was interested in medicine. So I thought that, you should go to the best institute in the country.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, I decided, took an entrance exam for Postgraduate Institute of Medical Education, Chandigarh.
Mm-hmm.
So I joined the MD course there at Chandigarh.
Mm-hmm.
And from there only I did the DM in neurology. Whereas during this MD course, I got interested in neurology.
Mm-hmm.
And so therefore I decided to, pursue my interest in neurology, and I did DM in neurology from PGI Chandigarh.
Right. Was there a particular person or specific people that come to your mind who inspired or one way, directly or indirectly, to go on to neurology, or it's a mixed bag, patients, teachers, everything?
Yeah, it was basically my interest in the clinical medicine. That time there was one professor, Bidwai, who was a cardiologist, and I had a very close relationship with him. And then he said that he wanted to become a neurologist, but he became cardiologist. And he once asked me that you should take up neurology. That is one specialty which I think you will enjoy. And that was his, his dream to become a neurologist. I said,
Right.
Then he told me that you take up neurology and you will, I am sure that you will make a very good neurologist.
Right.
And obviously there were other people, Professor J.S. Chopra, Dr. Prabhakar, Dr. Radhakrishnan, during those days in the PGI and neurology department, and they also inspired to take up neurology.
Chandrasekhar, those days remind me, we didn't have access to CT scan or MRI scan, or the investigational facilities were fairly basic, or did you have access to some of them already?
No, we had that time. That was a period from, my stay in PGI was from 1980 to 85.
Right, right.
So that time we had no MRI access, but we had a CT scan access. But that time, I think the most focus was on clinical neurology.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I think that's the beauty of neurology even now, isn't it? You just
Yeah,
you just really
exactly.
have to be focus
Yeah.
on history and
Yes.
examination even today.
Yeah.
So how did you become involved with the World Federation of Neurology? When did that occur, if you could recall?
Yeah, so after that, after leaving the PGI, I was for some time working with Professor Wadia at Mumbai, and then Professor B.S. Singhal at Bombay Hospital. Before I joined back, uh, in Nagpur as a neurologist, because there was a need in Nagpur. This area is little underdeveloped, and we needed neurologists there. So I joined as a neurologist in Nagpur, and then
Before you go
my
back to Nagpur, tell
yeah
me, how was it to work with Professor Wadia and Bim Shingal? They are two huge giants in
yeah
neurology in Asia Oceania
yeah
region. So tell us your
it was
experience. Was it
yeah
fear-based learning, or were they quite easy to work with?
Yeah, no, it was very easy to work with, and especially the professors with Professor Singhal. Then we had a lot of interaction, and he would ask me to solve the difficult cases, and that time he wanted me to join academics at the government college JJ Hospital, but there was no position at that time, so. But with Professor Singhal, interacting with various visiting professors during, the time with Jaslok Hospital, there were so many, we had a visit from by David Marsden and various Frank Yatsu, and during the Bombay Hospital, interacting with them. It's a great time organizing workshops. When I was working with Dr. B.S. Singhal, we had organized a workshop, 2-day workshop on neuromuscular diseases that time. So that was an excellent exposure to international faculty, and I was interested in, this organizational work from the beginning, organizing the activities. So when I came to Nagpur, there is a local body of doctors called Academy of Medical Sciences. So I became president of that. Initially secretary. It's a step ladder kind of pattern. You become gradually, you grow.
Yes.
So I finished that Academy of Medical Sciences in 1997. And then we decided to organize an annual conference of Indian Academy of Neurology in Nagpur. So that was in 2004. And for that conference, we had invited Professor Louis Kaplan, Professor David John Newsom Davis, Daniel Trong, Professor Kailash Bhatia. So these various faculties had come to Nagpur for that conference. It was a landmark conference. And after that, I had become, I was suggested by many, even Professor Singhal said that you should join Indian Academy of Neurology as an executive and move further. So initially I joined Indian Academy of Neurology as a executive committee member. Then I become, suggested by my friends to become, Secretary General of Indian Academy of Neurology. And after that, I was president of IAN from 2013 to 2014. So during that time, when I was in the Indian Academy of Neurology as secretary, it was in 2009 that I was designated as a national delegate to represent India in the WCN at Bangkok. So that was my first, exposure to the WFN, and I attended the Council of Delegate meeting. And after that, I was, it is usually the prerogative of the president to attend the meeting, but because of my exposure and interest, I was nominated 6 times again to represent the country and attend the Council of Delegate meetings. Because then I was president and as a past president. So I think during the 2012, when Professor Hutchinsky was a WFN president, he nominated me as a member of Constitution and Bylaws Committee. So I was a member of Constitution and Bylaws Committee. Then Professor Raj Shakir, when he was president, so again I was nominated. So I had 3 terms as a member of Constitution and Bylaws Committee. And after that, I was the member of Teaching Course Committee. So the Professor William Carroll nominated me as a member of a Teaching Course Committee. So I was part of that for 2 terms. And during that time, what we realized that the tropical neurology, which affects so many countries, and not only the tropical countries but other countries also, the tropical diseases are important, and therefore we decided keeping in view the mission of WFN to educate and do the training. So we it was from the suggestions and the guidance from Professor Raj Shakir when he was president, that because tropical neurology is very close to his heart, he suggested that we should organize an international tropical neurology conference in India. So that was 2017 March that we organized this International Tropical Neurology Conference, and it was a great success because it was attended by 1,000 people, and a 3-day meeting, and we had about 46 the faculty, mainly the international faculty from different regions, America, Europe, and Latin America, Africa. Everybody had joined for that meeting, and during this meeting that I was nominated as the president of tropical and geographical neurology, because it was thought that it was not only the tropical diseases but the other regions. So it was renamed as the Tropical and Geographical Neurology Specialty Group of WFN. And so I was, nominated as president, and so that was the first term. And I am again re-nominated as, re-elected rather as the president of the group unanimously recently for the second term of 4 years.
And this when the COVID-19 hit, you organize the education campaigns to continue. You organize.
So after the conference in 2017 in Mumbai, we decided that we should have an international conference every 2 years. So in 2018 October, we organized the conference in Brazil, Sao Paulo, Brazil. And that was again in collaboration with PAFNS, and it was also a great successful. And we decided that in the Brazil conference that the next conference will be in Africa region. But that could not be held because of the COVID pandemic. And then I got a unique idea of why not have these webinars. So then we thought that during this COVID pandemic, the topic of infection is very important because the people are less exposed to this. There are so many, and the world is very small because you travel all around world, and all the tropical diseases which were at one time restricted to the tropical countries can be seen anywhere in the world. And
Absolutely.
we thought that the dengue infection is an important topic. And then
I have the largest collection of neurocystic sarcosis in Australia now. So
okay, that's great.
So there you are. So you could be anywhere and they could come to you.
The first topic was neurocystic sarcosis when we started this neuroinfection. And Professor Hugo Garcia, then we decided to have the experts in the field to talk about these topics. And we organized initially every Saturday evening on every Saturday. It would be morning for somebody, afternoon for someone, and evening for some in India. So 8 sessions we organized, and this series was inaugurated by Professor Raj Shakir. And it went on very well. The people got interested in this. And therefore, the pattern was also very unique, which people liked, that after a talk on a particular topic, we discussed 3 interesting cases, challenging cases, with all the experts on different topics, which we could not cover as a main talk. So that was a series 1. It was dedicated to Professor J.S. Chopra, because he was interested in, very much interested in tropical neurology. And he had published a book on tropical neurology. So that was the first series. And after the first series, then we organized second series of neuroinfections. And that time, in the first series, we had a collaboration with Forum for Indian Neurology Education, and the second series, Indian Academy of Neurology, also joined hands. And this time, the difference was that we rotated the sessions to be hosted by different regions, like South America, North America, Europe, infectious disease group, Africa, Asia. So the sessions were rotated in different countries, and we had wide spectrum of diseases to be discussed, and again the cases. So all the infections that that can occur in different countries, that we covered all the infections, including a session on COVID during that time.
And these are all available in YouTube links if people want to watch, isn't it? I think
these are all available in the YouTube links, and these are available on the WFN website. So those who want to listen to these talks, all these talks are available on the WFN website.
Excellent. And then go on.
Yeah. No, after this, then we realized that we need to inspire the younger generation.
Correct.
And therefore, we started with another series, that inspiring people in neurosciences.
Yes.
And that was basically that, how the people become great, what are their, commitment to the specialty, what are their interests, how they become so great, what are their strengths, their weaknesses, and how they continued the research in difficult times, and how they built up the department, how they, work to develop the specialty. So all these aspects of individuals, we wanted, to be known to people, because these are less known facts. We read about, the book by Raymond Adams, but we don't know how Raymond Adams, became interested in neurology, and how difficult that time that he had, when he joined the medical school, that he has to work to support him.
Absolutely. I think this is a very important, useful the activity. In fact, when we started collecting video series for the World Brain Day, as we becoming adaptable to the pandemic, because when pandemic hit, we were threatened whether we could run a successful World Brain Day campaign and advocacy campaign. So we had to rethink how we go about it. Part of the thing that I myself learned, when you interview somebody, we had to interview everybody, young people, the old people, intermediate career people, non-neurologists, because WFN is about promoting brain health. Our job is to advocate for that. But when we get an opportunity to talk to people like what you talked, it's really eye-opening to see how they have done certain things. It's definitely truly inspiring, and those stories must be told. I completely agree. And congratulations on all those things, and I'm sure we would deposit all those talks in World Federation Neurology sites also as permanent records. Even when you and me both no longer live on this planet, people can watch them and learn about them. Before I move to the next the question, I want to make a comment and a question. I think when you look at Asia Oceania region, India's success in academic neurology, despite the challenges that you face, is phenomenal. And
Yes.
I think my observation is from late Jawaharlal Nehru putting a whole lot of the emphasis on education, and obviously you had a terrific leader in late Mahatma Gandhi too. I think the education become paramount for Indian community. That's number one. Number two, the medical community in particular, you embrace collaborations and networks, and you let those people from India who went overseas to come back and make connections. And one of the best example is there are umpteen amount of examples that you probably know better than me. When I talked to Professor Kailas Bhatia last year as part of this World Brain Day campaign, he told me that when he was a young resident or young trainee, Dr. Anita Harding came to India to visit, and then the young Kailas was asked by his boss to organize the social activities for Dr. Harding. So the Dr. Harding was apparently very interested in hiking. So the young Kailas had to take her or the director to this hiking business, and then she liked him, and that was the catalyst for her to invite him to come to Queen Square, or the sort of making the process easier. And you could see what sort of a giant he had become now, and how much we all get benefit from that connection globally. Is that correct? My observation, or you want to add something more to that?
Yeah. No, it's correct.
So I think this is an example for all other countries worldwide.
Yes, two people who are giants in movement disorders are from India. One is Dr. Kailas Bhatia, and other is Dr. Kapil Sethi.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Kapil Sethi is trained at PGI Chandigarh, and he was doing DM when we were doing MD medicine.
Right.
So we have the association since then.
I met him when I was working with Professor Philip Thompson a long time back, and we had a long chat. And I admire him a lot also. I think the overarching theme that I'm learning out of this World Brain Day interview series is the importance of networks, connections, finding good mentors, mentees, and the sharing knowledge and expertise. My next question is, you are well aware, Chandrasekhar, that World Federation Neurology has partnered with another massive organization with the name Multiple Sclerosis International Federation to tackle multiple sclerosis as the main theme for World Brain Day campaign this year. As you know, now we run the campaign over a number of months. Although most of the activities are concentrated around 22nd of July, we continue our advocacy activities to the World Congress Neurology and perhaps then ECTRIMS. And COVID-19 has reminded us the importance of neuroinflammation. As a senior academic and leading figure in World Federation Neurology, and the senior leader in Asia-Oceania region, where almost 60% of the world population live, how excited are you to see this particular topic and this theme and this World Brain Day campaign, where we have to adapt to more virtual things rather than physical things?
Can I give a little background of my interest in this public education activities?
Go for it.
Before we move to, So, when I was president of Indian Academy of Neurology, we started this series called Tell Me Doctor, about, sex, about alcohol, various, that time anthrax had come. So every time we'll have a new series on public education, and that people liked it very much. And then I was in neurology. I thought that unless you educate people about the problems, they will not know, because people don't understand the disease and which doctor to consult, whether they should consult a psychiatrist or a neurologist or a physician, or there are so many So when I joined in Nagpur, then we started doing camps and public education programs and demonstration through TV, writing in newspapers, on TV, various types of epilepsies, education about strokes. So I'm doing these activities for last 35 years regularly. And every time, we'll select different topics like epilepsy, Parkinson disease, and I write regularly in the print media, and the print media has been very supportive about the publication of this public education activities. And when I was president of Indian Academy of Neurology, I had introduced this National Brain Week activity, and which is done with Foundation Day, like we do the on 22nd July, the Foundation Day of World Federation of Neurology. So Indian Academy of Neurology Foundation Day is 16th December, and I proposed as a president to have these activities to be done from during December for about 7 days, and I was made a national convener of that particular activity after I finished my tenure as president. And then since then it is continuing. So not only that, then we very actively started this campaign. I like this campaign by WFN of World Brain Day and making awareness about different diseases. And we not only do on that particular day, but during those times we did for a week-long activities, taking into consideration the importance of, because the knowledge for doctors is available through the meetings, conferences, but the knowledge of general public should improve. Unless they are aware about the diseases, we can't improve their healthcare. And from 2014, when we started the World Brain Day campaign, so we used to organize different rallies, then talks in the auditoriums, then organizing various skits, the musical programs, parodies, and so many activities, and painting competition for children on the topics of brain and brain health. And we published a book we had this continuously for 3-4 years, and we published a book on these paintings by children on the occasion of World Brain Day, and that book was released during International Tropical Neurology Conference by Professor Raj Shakir. Yeah. So this topic of multiple sclerosis, this is less discussed. And it's a problem not only in the Western world, it is a problem in the developing world also, in India, with the advent of MRI and newer diagnostic techniques, and more awareness amongst the physicians, general physicians, about the disease, this demyelinating disorders. Now we are seeing more and more cases. 30 years when we were doing your graduation in the medicine, we were told, informed that this disease is very rare and we don't see in India or this developing countries. It is a disease of the Western world. But now we are seeing more and more cases being diagnosed, and disability, though I feel that it is more common in the urban population as compared to the people who come from the village population. And I'm really interested and excited that we are taking up this theme of multiple sclerosis, which is less discussed. While we're doing the neuroinfection series for doctors, we at the same time ran the campaign of publication on these topics, like publication on cysticercosis, cerebral malaria, brain tuberculosis, through the print media during this series also. So when we had organized for doctors, we also saw that this information goes to the general public through this awareness campaign. So it's a very, I must congratulate you and the WFN for selecting this topic of multiple sclerosis for World Brain Day.
I think what you have been doing and what you shared is very useful and fruitful for our viewers, Chandrasekhar. I am a firm believer that you have to take your patient with you, and unless you educate them well why you
Yeah.
wanted to do a particular thing for that particular disease, you can't really achieve good health. You may recall, you may have seen that I remember reading a little the correspondence that Professor Vladimir Hachinsky, one of our former president, wrote to a recent Lancet Neurology, basically arguing how we should redefine brain health. I think he was quoting one of his own papers, where in Ontario they shown that preventing strokes from about 30% by teaching people not only managing risk by educating healthy living and healthy living standards, they reduce dementia risk from almost 7 to 8%, which is enormous, which is eye-opening. And these sort of campaigns, and what you have been doing over the last 35 years is basically empowering fellow human beings to take care of themselves and get the best out of their brains. And after all, without brain health, there is no health. And the COVID-19 behavior changes that we have seen some of the best part of humanity. We have seen quacks and rogues trying to sell all kind of medicine, saying that they could cure COVID-19. We have seen some people go above and beyond to protect humanity globally at the same time. All kind of behavior come from brain also. So the again, another reason that why we should be interested in brain health. And moreover, knowing that the health is of paramount importance to talk about any economy, any country, I think it is timely that we as physicians who take care of brain, we as physicians who know that our thought processes and behavior and decision-making, memory, cognitive processing, wisdom, they all come from brain, must be the putting as much effort as possible to educate our people, ourselves. Hence, the beginning of this campaign, and we are delighted to see that it has really taken a momentum. And this year, when I was initially penning things, when I was initially jotting down things to the rest of the other committee members, I was initially thinking of 1 million social media posts by people all over the world. Now I have raised the bar to 2.8 million posts as we got 2.8 million multiple sclerosis globally. And we can definitely surpass 100 million mark this year with the enthusiasm of our colleagues globally. So congratulations for all those hard work. And I'm sure we would see another fabulous report set from you and your team on World Brain Day this year also. Finally, Chandrasekhar, I know that you've got a busy day ahead despite this is a Monday. And what is your take-home message to our youngsters who may be in their high school or medical school or neurology residents or contemplating on picking up neurology or not? For encompassing all of them, what's your message to them?
Yeah, I think that neurology is a very important specialty, and I think the people, those who get interested in medicine as a student, as as a physician, so I think it is very important that your commitment to the specialty is very important. And when you have a basic interest in medicine, that you want to help the society, you want to help someone, and if you have that kind of instinct in your body, that you must, as a doctor, think from patient point of view, that how you can help the patient. I think that is most important, and how you can help the society to improve its health. Not only the mental health, but the general health. We are staying in a developing world, and the health is a last priority for the government. And it is very important that the government also takes initiative, and the government has realized during this pandemic that how they are short of various medical facilities during this time. And we had it was very unfortunate that this time we had the shortage of medicines, shortage of oxygen, shortage of beds, shortage of facilities during this pandemic, because this pandemic has taken a very uh, everyone by surprise and everyone by a storm, because the magnitude of this pandemic was massive. And therefore, for the young generation or the young neurologist, I think the message is that the medicine and the neurology is the best specialty that you can practice in, and you should go for it. And you should try to help the society and guide the society for their better health.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chandrasekhar Meshram, for giving us your time. And we wish you all the very best with the current ongoing Inspiring People in Neurology series. And I encourage WFN, the fellowship and colleagues and friends to join this the program as it truly inspire you. And I have been watching them not on real time, as it is very late midnight for me from Melbourne when you the telecast it, but I watched them later on, and they're incredibly inspiring.
Yeah, and what is important all this session, I must tell you that, and I'm grateful to all the people, like that second series was inaugurated by WFN President Professor William Carroll, and the Inspiring People in Neurosciences was inaugurated by Professor Wolfgang Risold, who is the Secretary General of WFN. But all these people, Professor Raj Shakir, Wolfgang Risold, Professor Carroll has attended some sessions. Dr. Raj Shakir has attended all the sessions.
Right.
He has not missed a single. Professor Wolfgang Risold would have missed one or two, but he is there for all the sessions. Professor Steve Lewis is there for all the sessions. He has not missed any session. And so many other WFN trustees and important people in the WFN have been attending these sessions. And I think that is the very encouraging part of the running this series. And everybody is really excited and looking forward to what we can learn through this series. That was an additional impact, and I'm really grateful to all the WFN, the office bearers and the WFN. So being part of it, and all these news is there on the WFN website. All these reports are published in the World Neurology newsletter. So I think that's a very good support from WFN, and I would like to thank from this platform to WFN for being part of it, and at the same time the Indian Academy of Neurology and Forum for Indian Neurology Education.
I think all these things, what it show us, the Chandrasekhar, is the strength of human spirit. The science cannot be beaten, and the collaborations cannot be beaten. Whether we are in lockdown or crazy pandemic, the progress of humanity would continue. I am eternally optimistic that eventually, whether it would take 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, eventually we would prevail from the other end of this pandemic as even more cleverer, even more collegiate, even more collaborative group promoting even better brain health despite the challenges that we face. I think this pandemic and the way that we all put together all these things have shown ourselves what we can achieve by working together. I think the infections lecture series, Inspiring People series, rest of the other things that we have been able to achieve during last 18 months within neurology. And then when you think about having access to vaccines and rest of the other things, all the other developments that we see, and also seeing WHO is endorsing that or supporting what you and me firmly believe, that this is a global crisis. This is not a national problem. There is only one enemy in this calamity. It's not the opposition party in your country. It is
Yeah.
the COVID-19 virus, so SARS-CoV-2 virus, and that's the battle that we are fighting. And we are now the almost in agreement, as I read from the G7 report, that global leaders are coming together, that it is a matter for them to vaccinate a global community together. I hope that while we run this World Brain Day campaign, when you and me both know 70% of the world population cannot access game-changing, almost curable therapeutics in multiple sclerosis, I am hopeful that we, in collaboration with the rest of the other neurology groups and WHO, can convince the world leaders that just as we offered Covishield or the COVID-19 vaccination program to the world, perhaps we would come together to offer highly effective therapeutics for multiple sclerosis to the worldwide community, as it is one brain health that we are promoting. I know that's a too big a dream to have, but that's the dream that we are having as we run this World Brain Day campaign eventually.
Yeah, I think this is one topic which we did not discuss for a long time. We at Indian Academy of Neurology do public education programs throughout the year. Like on 11th April, we do on Parkinson's disease. Then on 2nd, Monday of the February, we do on epilepsy. Then on 29th October, we do on stroke. So we then on 21st September, we do on Alzheimer's disease. Then on 28th September, we do on, rabies. Then we also had activities on World Autism Day. So we run these activities throughout the day. But and then during December, we do it daily for 7 days, different activities. This time we organize rallies. And but this particular topic, is important because we have not touched this topic for public education, and seeing at the magnitude of 2.8 million cases in the world and their various problems and why they get it, we still don't know why we are getting multiple sclerosis. There could be various dietary factors, environmental factors, genetic factors, and in India the number of cases rising gradually. And it's not only affects the physical health, but it affects your cognitive health, the disability. So it's a really disabling disease, and therefore there is no awareness about this particular campaign about multiple sclerosis and demyelinating disorders, because this neuromyelitis optica spectrum disease also equally important. It is again a neuroimmunological disorder. So we have both multiple sclerosis and NMOSD disorders, and we'll educate. And because of COVID pandemic, again, I believe that we'll have to do the virtual meeting, and we will invite you to be part of that campaign during this time. And we'll really look forward to educate the general public about this particular activity, which is very important, and the people all over the world should be looking forward to this activity. And I'm very pleased, and I must congratulate that you are taking so much of hard work, and as you have been doing for last so many in World Brain Days, every time you are so actively involved and committed to the campaign of World Brain Day. And I would like to congratulate you for this activity, and I think I wish you best for this campaign also, from myself and from Indian Academy of Neurology and the Tropical Neurology Group.
Thank you, Chandrasekhar. Thank you for those kind words, and we really need your help and your colleagues. As I said, we are determined to surpass this 2.8 million social media post campaign. Every time when you talk to national media, just remind your viewers, you got 1 billion plus population. So you could help me to get this 2.8 million easily. All what we wanted them to do is talk about brain health, support World Brain Day, endorse World Brain Day, talk about multiple sclerosis. Even with a single post, it goes a long way. I think that's the way to the address this issue. Thank you so much. Stay well and stay safe. And I look forward to continue to chat with you on variety of activities on regular basis as we normally do. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Take care.